All right, hello and welcome to Corner Comics, your almost mostly weekly comic book reading club. My friends and I get together, we share a few issues with each other, then we talk about those issues that we've shared with each other. How you doing this week, Russ?
Pretty good. Snooch to the mooch.
I actually watched Reboot 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I did too.
It's it's all right. It's not the best Kevin Smith has ever been, but it was
But if you're
entertaining.
a fan, it gives you those tidbits.
Yeah, for sure.
But but if you're, I can't recommend it to people who aren't fans. Now.
That's pretty much what I told everybody last night. We were talking about it a little bit before we started Beer Over It, and I was like, yeah, like if you kind of follow Kevin Smith, it's funny, but I wouldn't recommend it to anybody that's trying to get into his stuff now. So, where can people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me out on where am I now? Let me see. I am on Twitter. You can find me at Walrus. That's at WALLRUSS. You can also find me on blacksuperherofan.com as well as comiccreatorsofcolor.com. And I'm working on updating all that and getting yet another location. Got a lot of free time in these days of our dread.
Yeah, it seems to be the new norm, as we were talking about. Um,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're keeping on. Try to do this weekly. Last week we weren't able to. Manuel can't join us this week. It seems that all of us have essential businesses that we work for. So um, even though we do have more free time, sometimes we just can't get on to do this. But gonna keep trying to do this weekly.
We moved
Um,
to Sunday, right?
yes,
This is our
and
first Sunday.
so moving to a new date and time, maybe that'll help a little bit. If you are watching us live, or you're watching us on YouTube in the archive, or you're checking us out on BitChute, because I do upload these on BitChute as well, and you have some questions for us, or you want to talk about some of the comics that we've talked about, shoot us an email, cornercomicsofficial@gmail.com. We'll probably, if you do send us an email, we'll probably read it on the air. So let us know what your thoughts are. Maybe you didn't agree with one of our opinions. Um, you know, it happens. So this
We,
week,
we welcome the feedback.
yeah, definitely. This week we've only got 4 issues. I have got two that I pulled from my backlog, my back issues. X Factor number 140. This is from 1997, and is the introduction of Xavier's Underground Enforcers. My second issue is Batman Beyond 2.0, number 20. This was back in 2014. That particular comic was a digital only, but they reprinted the digital comics in Batman Beyond Universe, which I collected for a little while. So I thought I would bring that into the mix. What 2 issues are you bringing?
Well, I bring Go Gore. It's an Image comic. Came out, the first issue came out in 2019. The whole thing made by one guy. And I also brought one of the latest X-Men Fantastic Four, number 3, came out this week. Uh, and more to be said as we dig into it.
Yeah, it'll probably be a discussion of pretty much where the whole 4 issue series is right now, and where we think it'll probably head. Because I was buying this, I bought the last 2 issues, but I didn't read them. And then you threw issue 3 in there. I was like, shit, I got to read 1 and 2 now. So for me, it was like, reading and catching up on the whole series.
Do what we can.
But yeah, so all right, we'll start transition here so everybody can see the covers. My first pick, X Factor number 140. This is so I took a brief break from comics in the mid '90s and then jumped back on, and this was for me was a jumping on point. Um, I loved the artwork. X Factor was always kind of a cool offshoot of X Men. A lot of different characters, and this particular story dealing with Xavier's Underground Forces, dealt a lot with Earth 1911, which is the future that Bishop comes from, and I always thought that his story was kind of cool. To be able to see different characters from that time and that reality jump into the main continuity was cool. And this is also the first introduction of Dark Beast. I don't know if he's in this particular issue, but during this run on X Factor, it was the introduction of Dark Beast. They've never done anything with these characters, which I think is a shame. I think they only showed up in this brief time, and that was sort of it. They didn't really do a whole lot with them after that. So, what are your thoughts, Russ?
Okay. First off, this feels like an Image book.
Okay.
Art wise, the proportions and things like that. So I have two issues about the art. I like the style of the art. I also felt like it confused the story at the same time.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of distractions, a lot of things happening on a page that may or may not need to be there. I mean, whatever the artist's vision was, I'm not hating that. But often, because this is an X book, therefore there's a lot of exposition. But then you got all this stuff happening on each panel, and then panels behind panels, and in front of panels, and crossing into panels. While like I said, I enjoyed the artwork, I found it very distracting to getting through the story.
Okay.
It felt like it's like a futuristic sci-fi book in which you may or may not know the characters, right? Well, probably everyone knows Bishop. I also know Shard, right?
Yeah.
And but after that, it gets kind of vague who everybody is, if they're important, if they're all going to die. But you look at it through Shard's viewpoint, and I don't really understand the mechanics of why she's somehow moving through time and her brooding, and I really didn't. There wasn't enough here. Like if this is new to me, to get me caring about Shard, other than the plight she's in, and I didn't feel there was a lot of explaining the other characters, even though it looks like Cable shows up near the end or after the middle. I didn't really understand a lot of who the characters were, what their motivations were. It's just a lot here. Like I read it through a second time and I got more.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot here. It feels like an extra long book, like a Marvel fanfare size book. Maybe just because there's so much to get through visually and story that it does require multiple run-throughs.
Yeah.
That being said, I enjoyed it well enough. I don't know, because it felt a little like work sometimes. I don't know if it would make me want to get to the next issue if this was the first one.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I picked it mainly just because of the nostalgia, I guess. And like I said, they've never done anything with these characters again. And I think that's kind of a shame. Like there's some potential here. Just with visually how they're designed is cool, to be able to explore who they are a little bit more, I thought would have been interesting.
But you also have that futuristic universe that's really only fleshed out in this book. You don't have a lot of other books. This is, you know what I mean, to really tell a story of how that universe works. Like Spider-Man 1999, or whatever it was, it can't be 1990 or 2099. And like you don't really know that world well, and you have to sort of take it as it comes and hope you understand it over time. So for me, you have all of this and a world I don't understand how it works. Are mutants hunted here? I don't know, how does the government work? Does everyone have food? Is everyone in poverty? There's so much about that world that I don't know, and this book doesn't give me.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to my next pick.
Okay. Sorry, man.
That's all right.
You're next. Go ahead. Set it up. Batman Beyond.
Batman Beyond 2.0 or Batman Beyond Universe. This is, like I said, was a digital only book, but they did compile the digital books into printed form eventually, and so that was what I was collecting. This particular book is sets up the Justice Lords Beyond. So it's a alternate reality where Superman is evil, and that's always fun to explore. Um, I know this particular issue doesn't give us a whole lot of action. I mean, there's more Terry versus Terry, um, and sort of that's going on. But I thought it would be a good point to jump on for this particular arc, even though it's towards the end a little bit. So yeah, what were your thoughts?
I like the artwork a lot. I found it to be visually appealing. There were a lot of times where there was no background, just a purple sky.
Yeah,
But the looks on the faces, the detail of Batman's costume and the lines and all of that and that art, I found that quite pleasing. So it was easy for me to go through the book just on that alone. I felt there was a lot of sort of setup and, like you said, Terry on Terry talking.
yeah,
Uh, and then I felt like, wow, is it over already? I
yes,
felt like it was like 10 pages short, or maybe 5 to 8 pages short. Like, yes, Superman shows up and all that, but I felt like, especially compared to the earlier issue, I felt like this had like 10 pages less. And that kind of disappointed me because I did want to see more, right?
yeah,
Uh, but I did enjoy it. I do like the idea of it. Uh, and I would have liked to, like, because it's short, I probably would pick up the next issue from this, uh, because it was enough to keep me interested to see. Because I really didn't feel like the world was fleshed out. Because I only know about the world uh, in that it was, the conversation between Terry and Terry. Because I didn't have any background in previous issues or anything like that. So, but it was enough to interest me that I would at least go back for another issue. Definitely.
yeah. I mean, you tend to do that anyway, so that was like,
Hmm.
I was like, well, I don't feel bad about just giving him this short one because I
Yeah.
figured he was gonna dig. I figured you'd dig through him anyway. Like,
Hmm.
oh, if this is interesting enough, he would check it out. Yeah, I just there's so much about like the whole Batman Beyond conversation that I really like. That adds a lot to the DC universe for me. That's very different from the traditional characters. Um, I mean, they hit on something with when they did the animated series. Um, I can remember when it first came out, thinking like, "This is stupid. Why would they do this?" And then watching it and being like, "Wow, this is really cool." And then sort of as an adult, sort of digging into these comics and be like, "Yeah, this is really cool. This is it's in the future, but um, I don't know. Just the fact that it opens up so much to having all kinds of different characters and things like that. I would recommend if you did like the issue 20 or whatever, to jumping in and reading 21 because that's where the battle between Lord Superman and Terry really picks up.
I definitely will. Lord Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
there was a Death Battle. They did you ever watch Death Battle?
yeah. Yeah.
They did a Death Battle between uh, Batman Beyond and Spider-Man 2099,
Nice.
right? And I was like, who would win that, right? And I think they had spoilers. I think that they had that Batman won simply because of his tactical knowledge and not relying more on training than actual talent.
Right.
So, and they were, because they're both, futuristic. They're both, young people who are not the first to wear this mantle.
Right.
They both have technology, and so that was interesting to watch. But yeah, I also am a fan of Batman Beyond universe. It's a shame they don't uh, uh, redo or bring more of that out. And like, why isn't there another Batman Beyond movie? Or why isn't there a movie in that future like they did with Justice League where they went to the future,
Yeah.
which I really enjoyed. And then, it'd be nice if Static showed up and stuff, but, I digress. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I've always been a fan of Batman Beyond, not waving the flag so much. It's just something that I just liked and like to follow. So good choice here.
All right. So we'll move into your first issue.
Okay, my first issue is called Gogor, and who knows if I'm pronouncing it right. This entire book, art and writing, is by one person. Which to me is a feat because I felt like it looked good and easy story to follow and not too complicated, not too much exposition, but enough to move the story forward. But again, what are your thoughts?
I enjoyed it. I thought the art was kind of simple, but I did really enjoy it. My only gripe about this book is that it is sort of the personification or like the perfect example of show don't tell. Right? There's
Yeah,
so much that this gives you that like I want some explanation. Why are there floating islands? How did these islands get there? Are these people tiny because they appear to be riding giant bugs and ferrets and mole rats and things like that? Uh, there's clearly a magic system in this world that
yes.
how does that magic system work? What, like I had a lot of questions.
And is that enough to say maybe I'll check out another issue?
I don't know because I maybe if issue two answers some of the questions that I have, then I could see myself continuing on with it. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's sort of got this whimsical quality to it
Hmm.
that is,
And it's,
tr-
it's all ages enough, right? I mean,
yeah,
anyone, you could give this to a kid, introduce him to a new world. There's nothing that's happening that would be beyond a younger reader. It might be to the edge of what, but there's enough here. There's enough action. There's enough conflict. And it's one of those things where I feel like I just followed it, just went where it went, and it kept giving me something to watch or something to think about. And each time, another few panels, I'm like, what's going on here? What's happening here?
yeah,
Earnest in a way. Uh, I want to say simplistic, but not in a negative way. Very, only the things that need to be there are there and nothing more, right? If you want
yeah,
to know more, just follow the journey and things will get revealed over time. So, having read the second issue, I can say more is revealed and there are more questions.
okay,
And it's one of those things where if this was Saturday morning cartoon, because it would fit perfectly, right? It
yeah,
wouldn't even
you
be
just
hard to do this. If this was Saturday morning cartoon, you don't know where it's going. You just watch it. It's
yeah,
not a monster of the week. It's a journey. And in that respect, I enjoyed that because I don't get a lot of that where everyone isn't trying to. And I think it's like a 5 or 6 issue series and it's done.
okay,
So you get a complete or complete enough because you may never be satisfied. But you do find other people. You do find, I want to say it could be looked at as a simplistic Lord of the Rings in some ways as you get to know and see some of the other people and some of the other beings that are involved here. Uh, and then you got to figure Gogor himself, what is he all about? What
yeah,
is his purpose? Is he just a simplistic monster? Is there something else here? Does he have a purpose? Was he designed to have a purpose? Was he the original man? I don't know any of that. So you don't get to know it all.
right,
You get to follow the journey. And for me, it was easy enough. It wasn't too complicated. I didn't have to, because sometimes when you get into a new world, a new universe, there's so much going on and you can't hold it all in your head. This gives you just enough, I
yeah.
think.
So I feel like it does have that depth, but it doesn't force you to have to be like, oh, okay, well the the Wasp riders are this because, like,
Yeah.
um, so
And if you want to know more, there's more to be had. And you know how the story moves forward in this issue, and the story continues to move forward in the next issue. And I thought it wasn't an urgent book. It was just relaxing. And, it's one of those books where you got a bunch of books in your pack from your pull list that you can sit back and relax and just follow this. You don't
yeah,
have to think too much. There's stuff there if you want to, though,
right,
and you can just see where it goes. And it's colorful.
yeah,
It's its own imaginative thing. And so I liked for all of this to be one guy doing everything, that to me was automatically impressive.
yeah. That is impressive for sure.
Writing, art, color, everything, every panel, the whole story. Because we've read web comics when people are writing these things. This is and to me, this seems like a quality book in that respect.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I agree. Yeah, Gogor, Swamp Thing meets Hulk? Question mark.
yeah, I could that could work. But I
Okay.
also think there's a secret magical aspect that we have that hasn't been uncovered. And but yeah, I think that could cover a lot of it. But is Gogo the protagonist, or is this guy whose name now all of a sudden I don't know,
I don't.
because they only said it once, I think.
Yeah, if at
Right?
all. Yeah,
Yeah. Is he the protagonist, and is Gogor just one force of nature in the background?
right.
But a lot of these stories are often told that way. But yeah, there's something here for anyone who's just tired of the complicated, same old, and just want to relax with a book. I think this, especially if you go graphic novel, is a good sit back, relax, and there's enough there that you enjoy. And the bright colors, the vibrant colors, really, stood out for me.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, moving on. My next book, X-Men Fantastic Four #3, and I don't know if they're only going to be 4 books or not.
Yeah.
The story behind this is that Franklin Richards, the son of Fantastic Four, is a mutant, and therefore, under the purview of the new mutant country, that is
Krakoa,
whatever,
the Krakoa Nation.
Krakoa,
Yeah.
and yet he's still the son of Reed and Susan Richards, and they ain't just giving up their son. And so, and then you got to wonder, the Fantastic Four is great, but can they stop all the mutants? Right? That has Reed Richards figured the whole thing out? What I've noticed is Reed Richards seems to be getting stupider. Maybe he
Really?
doesn't know. Well, over time, not just in this book,
Okay.
but just over in the last few months. Because you got to figure this is supposed to be the smartest person on the planet, yes?
Yeah.
Right? And then you look in this book and you look at Doom has them beat. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not like by a country mile, but clearly understanding, getting into concepts that Reed Richards is not even playing in on his own.
Right.
Right? Maybe because he's #1, he's not doesn't need to stretch himself. And Doom always trying to, second fiddle, is always pushing to be more and be greater. And I love Doom. So you got and you got the mutants, who I think the mutants are the Krakoa army, I think, are the bad guys here.
Potentially.
Yeah. And
So
go ahead.
I, I've been picking these up, but I have not been reading them until you threw issue 3 in here. So I had to read through all 3 issues in order to catch
Welcome.
up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a really interesting take on the whole Jonathan Hickman revamp of the X verse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in House of X, Powers of X, there was some friction between the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. There's a couple of scenes. So they set that up all the way back there.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is sort of a 4-issue miniseries where it really comes to a head, because you do have humans, for all intents and purposes, and their mutant son, and the link to this Krakoan nation. Sue is a really interesting lens into sort of a viewpoint outside of the whole Krakoan nation that's going on, right?
Agreed.
Like that was an interesting take on it that I wasn't really expecting to get. I figured this would be just a simple crossover book, and uh, there's some action, and then we're done, right? But there's a lot of political drama that's going on here that
Yeah.
um, is kind of interesting.
It's like the X-Men or the mutants are professing ownership to all mutants in the world.
Right,
You don't, and so I'm kind of with Doom on a diplomatic community. You can have your own country, that's fine, but you don't have anything to do with my citizens of my country. Who the hell are you,
right,
right? And so that sounds tyrannical to me from the mutants. And then that just give a reason for, because it looks like they had Magneto on a good leash and they dressed him up, but now it feels like, at least in this book, he's sort of very quick and easy to go to his old ways. Like, I'm just going to kick your ass and take what the fuck I want because I'm right.
yeah,
Very much a bully. And you look at, and then there's the murder. The X-Men appear to have murdered someone.
well, yeah.
Appear.
There's that, and then I don't understand why they went after the mutants on Latveria. Like, just leave them alone. You made a deal with Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you trying to fuck this up? Like,
But trying to liberate
I
mutants.
know, but that angered me. I'm like, you guys are stupid.
I agree.
Doom is gonna kick your ass.
Right? I don't care how many powers you have. Doom, this is Doom,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
This is a guy who took down Galactus on his own, right? With no actual powers.
yeah.
You really think your mutant organization can sustain any of this? You know,
Well, and
really?
his proximity to Krakoa too. Like, it's his island nation is a real threat because of how close they are. It's not
But he,
like
but he didn't do any overtures, right? He wasn't attacking. They didn't even know where it was,
right. Yeah,
right? So, whatever he was doing, he was protecting. He's still a sovereign nation.
right,
He can still decide how he down. It's just not democratic. He's still the lord and master, but still, it's his nation. You don't have any say. And I get that. You look at from America, who's always in everybody else's business, the U.S., right? Telling you how you have to treat your people, telling you, I mean, they're not paying anybody, but like, we're not going to trade with you because you're whatever.
right.
And America has a point, but it's not your say. You know what I mean? These are other countries for a reason. So, I felt like the X-Men are sort of the evil version of Americans that I see in the news out there trying to, or what to say, left-wing liberals. We're just going to save everyone who's ever been, oppressed or whatever in any country. They are under our domain and our protection, and we're going to come in and take them if we want to, and you're
Right,
not going to stop us. I'm like, come on, and get militant about it.
right.
Yeah. And I figure the only reason Doom doesn't just kill them all is because he really doesn't want to sustain a war against mutants over time. Because otherwise, just beat them all up. I mean, come on, the mutants have been captured by fucking Arcade before. You know what I mean? You think Doom can't take them?
Yeah,
So anyway, it did anger me in the same exact way on how you're going to just take over. You're going to decide that Franklin Richards is yours. You're not going to respect that he has parents. You can't even respect, like, I wouldn't go into your home and tell you how to treat your kids unless you're beating them and I can't get sleep at night because the noise is too loud. You know what I
right,
mean?
right. Yeah,
You don't do that. All right. And then, I feel like if Xavier shows up at my house with that hat on, that's an act of war to me. That's a declaration. That's not peaceful. Right.
it's yeah. The more that I see
That's
it,
like Doom in his armor.
I was gonna say, the more that I see that imagery, the more it is like somebody wearing glasses at night, or
Mm-hmm.
it's weird, and It's you protecting something about some. It's almost like Xavier's protecting a vulnerability. Um,
Mm.
that is readily apparent without the mask on.
But
Um,
I do trust Doom to take care of Franklin.
I do too. As I was reading through it, I'm like, yeah, like Doom's got his back. Like,
You got to
he's
remember when Valeria was born, Susan was going to die. They were going to lose the baby. Reed Richards was away. He couldn't solve it. And Doom showed up and saved both Valeria and Susan's life, and even chose the name Valeria for the daughter.
okay.
That's a Doom given name,
Yeah.
right? So you got to realize he has been there, right? He doesn't know. Franklin doesn't feel any danger
No.
of being around Doom. The daughter, which I'm really wishing she had powers. You remember years ago when a younger daughter, Valeria, came from the future,
Okay.
and she was a teenager. I don't know if you remember. She came from the future. She was a teenager. She had all of Susan Richards' power, and she had a half Doom uniform. Like called him
No.
Uncle Doom, and this was before she was actually born. I think in the current timeline.
When do you remember when those comics came out?
Oh, I'll find out right now.
Okay. Yeah, this is really interesting too because Hickman has given us the official Omega level definition,
Hmm.
and here they are specifically stating that yes, Franklin Richards is an Omega level mutant. He is on that level. I think it's always been sort of speculated,
Hmm.
and people have played with the idea, but this is the first time that we're getting like a definitive yes, he is an Omega level mutant. And
1999
okay,
was the year 1999. I'm going to pass you a link, which you can, I guess, look at offline if you like, since I figure out how to do that. But yeah, so there was a Valeria from an alternate future who had a relationship with Doom, and this was before, like I said, before there was actual Valeria Richards in current continuity. So anyway, I'll pass it to you later. I have to. But yes, so I think that she should have her mother's powers.
okay,
I think she should be a mutant too. Maybe though, it manifests later, right? Because they play fast and loose with her age, right? Is
yeah,
she 8? Is she 12? You know what I mean? I don't know.
right, right,
So all of those things can happen, or maybe she's had them all along. And she's make sure and hide them from her parents. And here's another insidious thing: Reed Richards was hiding the mutancy of his son when you read back in the early issues,
yeah.
right? Masking it, just doing some protective type shit that was more emotion based than logic based.
Well, yeah, they played with that too in this series because
Mm-hmm.
Franklin can't use the Krakoan gates
Mm-hmm.
because Reed. I don't know if it's like did something with his DNA or how they describe it, but he like put like an inhibitor on that aspect of his uh, the way you describe it, mutancy. That like
Mm-hmm.
so he can't even use the Krakoan gates. And what does that mean?
And he chipped him, right?
Right, so that he could track them. Yeah,
Right. Come on, dude. Really? You chip your dogs,
right.
right? And don't get me wrong. If someone said we should start chipping our kids, I would wave a flag, but you are responsible for your kids when you're not there, right? Should you always know where your daughter is? If your daughter is 8 and I ask you where your daughter is, should you know at any time?
Maybe.
You're responsible for her welfare, whether you're watching her or not,
Have
whether you're at
you
work or not.
have you seen the Black Mirror episode where they deal with that?
No, I haven't, but now I'm going to
Okay.
because that's something I have some
There,
skin in the game on. I have interest in.
yeah, there's a Black Mirror episode where they kind of deal with that, and the mom gets a tablet where she can see everything that her daughter is doing and where she's going and what she's experiencing, and you even have the ability to sort of censor.
Mhm.
So you can turn off certain things if you think it's going to be harmful to your child. And yeah, it's really, really interesting because it plays with uh, the same ideas, right? The protective nature of Reed Richards. Is he going too far? Is he, stopping his son from maturing in any way?
And what, there's a whole, I can really get into this and say most parents, 90% of parents probably in the world don't have any training for how to be parents,
No, there's no manual. It's not like
right?
you become a parent and they're like, here you go. Here's the.
Right. Right. And even if you've read a couple books, which most people don't, doesn't mean you know anything,
Well, it
right?
doesn't mean that the people that wrote the books really know anything either.
Exactly. It's not like you got to agree. That's why I say no more children until you pass a test. Fertility is turned off in the world until all parents can prove financial capability and ability to pass a test. Go ahead and have sex all you want, but if you want a baby, you need to fill out an application. And every child will be wanted. There will be no child that says, why didn't they want me? There will be no child that doesn't grow up in a loving household. Change the game. But then, of course, we'd be stealing the rights of fertility from everyone. And
Right.
even the Constitution says you have the pursuit of happiness, and we got to protect that.
Yep.
However, you can't pursue happiness more than 10 people in a group right now because I don't care what the Constitution says. So, anyway, there's a lot here. There's a lot politically. There's a lot to sort of bring out emotion. That's why I like this book. And we didn't even speak of the art. I thought the art was pretty good.
The artwork is phenomenal. I think
Yeah.
the guy they chose to his style is close enough to the guys that did was RB Silva and oh, I can't think of the other guy's name. To House of X and Powers of X. That this is a
Mm-hmm.
nice companion.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this is cool, and it's a nice extension of that universe, and I'm really curious to see what happens in issue 4 because
Yes.
I think we're gonna have a fully powered Franklin Richards. I
And
think
what does and who controls him? Because isn't he's an Omega level mutant? Is he listening to his father? Is he listening to his mother? Is he listening to Doom? Is he listening to Xavier? Is he listening to Kitty Pryde? Who has his ear?
yeah,
Who can have him use? And that I think is the big issue. Is where does this finish up? Uh, because, and he's an intelligent young man. He's clearly well taught. He has the concepts of things that most people his age don't have. Right? He's created entire universes for God's sake, right?
right.
But do you leave that in his hands? That level of cosmic power, a thought of he could say no more mutants, and it would happen, right?
Does he embrace his mutant nature and
To what extent?
potentially become a leader for the mutants? And is he more of a leader than Xavier and Magneto and Apocalypse? Like that's
Mhm.
yeah. There's a lot
And
that they
and
could do with
and
this.
would the nation of Krakoa allow that kind of leadership that wasn't in alignment with their plan?
I mean, if he's like, I'm gonna I'm gonna banish you to an alternate reality if you don't follow me, like
Then they'll just find a way to control his mind. Remember, he still can be mind controlled, right?
yeah,
Because Xavier has his hat on,
yeah.
so he can make him do what he wants.
But yeah, there's a lot of possibilities here.
Hmm.
This really opened it up, and I'm happy that this exists.
Agreed. And maybe this series might be the series we get our into X-Men with our absent friend.
Yes, maybe he might. Yeah, he might get into it.
Because there's not too much exposition, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that was a bit of his turn off for him. But anyway, I thought this was a pretty good book. And when I looked at and here's the place. So now that we finished, let's talk about this.
all right.
Comic shops are closed for the next year.
I'm not sure what Diamond's plans are. So I know that my local shop, what he is doing is either mailing you stuff or letting you call ahead and picking up your stuff at the door, right?
The
So
hard part with that is if you like to peruse the stacks and find new books, I think those are the ones that are going to really suffer, like Gogo and these other people, where you're going to, unless you are kind of person that's online looking at the possibility of new comics or
yeah,
somehow that's marketed to you. I think outside of Marvel and DC and maybe a few core image books, and if we're lucky, Valiant, what happens to new stories?
well, new books are going to be relegated to digital because everybody else has got the printing presses shut down. So you have to, if you're going to be reading brand new books, read it digitally.
So does that put Comixology at a better position in this game?
I mean, fucking Amazon is going to control the country anyway. Like,
So, I know, so you've already given up, man. They already have the country. I'm not stopping anything.
yeah, dude. I mean, uh, it's crazy how like because everything has to be shipped to you now, right? Like you
Yeah.
can't go to a store. Um, and they were already riding the crest of that wave. Now it's swelled to a tsunami.
Yeah, I think Amazon, if they weren't ever the top 10 countries in the world, they probably are now. What did I read somewhere? Jeff Bezos can give $150,000 to every one of his employees out of his cash reserves.
Right. Yeah. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I I don't know what we do. Yeah. I mean, my my plan is probably to pick up back issues until print comes back. Um,
Just and then I gotta ask, what does that mean to this show? Are we now a back issue show? That's not as exciting and sexy as I would like.
true. Yeah. I might.
Even now, the books we talk about, the ones that just this X-Men book, who could have gotten it? Who can get it?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, it was on my pull list. I
mhm.
just didn't get a physical copy of it this week. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward.
This virus has destroyed the comic book industry. How evil, insidious.
And what happens too when they do turn the printing presses on? Do we just get all the issues that were stopped in the meantime?
Yeah, because you can't stock all of those in the comic shop at one time.
No. Yeah.
So, and then just think, comic shop owners, that's not a big profitary business.
No, the profit
And and
margins
it,
are pretty slim. Yeah.
and then now they still have to pay rent on these business sites.
Yeah.
How do you do that? A lot of them, they did a lot of things for the community. Like you can go to a good comic shop and play some Magic the Gathering and all these other get-togethers and things like that. That was your place to be nerdy and be with nerds of your ilk, and that has gone away.
Yeah. 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 I mean, for me, showing up on Wednesday um, is nice because I get to pick up my new books, hang out for at least an hour or a half hour, and talk to everybody else that's coming in to pick up their books. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And the shop owner. And hey, what's selling well this week? What are people into? What did I miss? What
Yeah, the
yeah,
social
I don't have
social
that.
distancing is ruining the social aspect of living.
Yeah, right.
You
So
know, yeah, and I don't. We can even get deeper, because I would really like, and I've been part of a group before where we all read something together. We come together, maybe not once a week, but once a month, and we sort of vote on a book we're going to read next month, like a graphic novel, and
yeah,
then come together in a group with pizza and beer and whatever your liking is. Just we all read the book and go around the table and talk about it. That would be a great, you know what I mean? And if we could do it in a comic shop, even better.
yeah, yeah.
But there's a group that I know that I was involved with out here in Houston, and they have started up Zoom, and they are starting to be. Now I don't know how many people they can have. So far, they've had 9. They're doing the Hollywood Squares.
Nice. All right.
So maybe there's an opportunity for inventing things. But I worry about if I recommend a book that comes out next week, who's going to
Who,
read it,
yeah, who has access to it?
right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't show up immediately on Comixology, right?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's day and
Okay,
date.
there's that.
Yeah.
So then Comixology is what we're going to have. I think you need to see somebody about getting affiliation with Comixology. We need to get something. I mean, then we can link to it and everything.
Yeah. We'll
Something to think about.
we'll send out some emails. I'll have my people contact their people.
Excellent work. Excellent work. I think that would be wise. Wise for both them and us.
Right. All right. So any final thoughts before we wrap it up then?
I'm trying to think. If you're a comic fan, how do you deal with that void that's not going to be filled? Like if people put $20 a week into their pull list, what do you do with that time and energy you spent doing what you love? What's the alternative? Is it video games? Do we got to pick up the old X-Men game where you slide across the screen and fight Magneto or whatever? I don't know. That's a void.
Yeah.
Do people start reading regular books? Because graphic novels is huge. And now what? The bookstores are closed, right? Because I had no problem with getting a latte and sitting in Borders, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
or Barnes and Noble, whichever one survived, and sitting out and banging out an entire graphic novel while I have a latte and maybe a piece of cake.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's also where, and I'm really foul like that. I'll go read into books and find it I might like them, take a photo, and then go buy it from Amazon. So I worry about what does to change if this is how it is for another year. Does it change the comics industry in a way that's detrimental to us or to the industry itself? I don't know.
Um, I think that you'll see some innovation and people will find ways um, to evolve. You evolve or die, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, so yeah, maybe we get our Netflix of comics. Maybe unlimited steps up, and there's more that you can access on that. I don't know.
On a
Um,
side note, I don't know if you know who D Nice is.
yeah,
Okay, so he did I don't know, some 8 hour rave that's only online. So everyone's partying, but everyone's at home, right?
yeah,
And I heard it went really well. And so now Questlove, and I know you know who Questlove is,
yeah.
has just done another one. And I think I was looking at it, is how many hours? A 4 hour set
Wow.
of him and on the cameras just on him DJing in that 4 hour set. And I'll put a link in here. And but it's I don't know what's the title. Presents D Nice Homeschool is the pound thing. Pound D Nice Homeschool presents Questlove presenting 6 degrees to native tongues. So if because this is just live music that we could all sort of get to and talk about, and if we could find a way, because everyone's going to need a headset and a camera now, right?
Right.
Otherwise, you're just looking at the walls and hoping. Well, Netflix won't run out of stuff because my queue is it would take me 20 years to finish it. But regular TV is going to run out because they're not filming anything, right?
Right.
Right. If in April next month, if in the next couple of weeks, like next week, if this isn't resolved, and we both know it won't be, can you film any TV shows anymore or movies?
Yeah. Or are all the actors just 6 feet apart from each other at all times?
Right. Oh, what about Quibi? Are you interested? Have you been looking into Quibi? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. QUIBI, short for Quick Bites.
Okay.
It is a new up and coming streaming service. I think it starts next month. And what they propose to do is something you more watch on your phone. They'll give you a 2 hour movie, but episodes are like 10 minutes long.
Okay.
Right. So quick bites. So you can watch this whole thing and then you can go somewhere and watch a curated 10-minute episodes that has a beginning and an end.
Nice.
And then you get your whole story. Of course, they want you to pay for this. It's not going to be free, but
Right.
they've got a whole bunch of huge big names, and they've already done trailers for a whole bunch of different shows. and big name actors, big name writers. They've put money into this because they think people are watching from their phone. They don't have time to watch a whole movie, and so this could work.
Yeah.
But I think you can get a 90-day free trial. So you might want to sign up, and I'm sure you have time to watch new stuff now. No more excuse like I'm too busy. Nope, you got time to watch everything.
All right. And on that note, we'll be back most likely next week.
Yep. See you then.
Thanks for joining us.